Hello, fellow humans. You guys know I usually try to just roll with the flow to whatever I'm doing here today. But today was different. I got like a sort of sketch, and it probably has to do with Mercury retrograde being right next to my Sophia. We're going to be discussing asteroid 251 a lot today. If you want to check your chart, if you have a strong Sophia signature, which means Sophia in the first, Sophia in the sign of Aries, Sophia at the first, 13th, or 25th degree, or if you have Sophia conjunct your ascendant, IC, descendant, or MC, your midheaven, then you have a strong Sophia signature. Also, if you have it next to your sun, Mars, Venus, Moon, any personal planet, then you're going to actually like be mind blown by this. Otherwise, you might be like, but I'm going to do something a little different because I have a light sketch written out of what I'm talking about, right? And then I pulled up some tabs already in advance, so I don't have to like make the screen shake as much while I'm explaining. This is absolutely going to be a learn with me video because I'm being led through it, but it's not like the other times where I am compelled with a message. Like, I got on here because something said get on here. No, this was like a ease, and I'm even pulling right now so I can see why am I sharing this message today? Why was I meant to share this message today? Because this was very much like hands-on led for me to do this. So King of Roses, this is a man in charge of his castle, but like a loving king, loving of his followers, his community, his spouse, his children, like king in the sense of what we would want for a king. The next one is caught in ruins. So there is a masculine energy, or how about the King of Roses is this person's potential? Like they could have everything. They could be in the space of just living in love, but they're not currently, right? So they're in the middle of something where everything just looks like a bomb. Everything is up in the air. Let me pause this, guys. I'm sorry. That's my alarm. And we're back. Uh, Maybe this person is in the ruins because they're on to the next one. I gotta throw that out there because, like, okay, it pops up certain different times. It's a different song. They all, whatever. So it's a lesson, right? Which is interesting because I was telling you guys about Sophia, and Sophia is like the teacher of all. And then we have the mystic, the oracle of Delphi, it's the prophetess, and a commitment. I'm feeling very Stevie Wonder about why I got called here for this, but I'm going to focus on this card. This person needs to learn something or to understand something, to know something, to assimilate it into their consciousness for some reason. So whoever you are, this video is to help you to understanding of clearly some deep, intricate stuff. Because what I had, like having to write something out and then to pull up all the tabs in advance means this lesson is going to be thick, guys. So let's get it. Sophia, angel of wisdom. Not even an angel, it's an emanation. I just have to show you guys for starters. So up here, this would be outside of the tree of life. We talk about the tree of life a lot. And just for reference, this is the tree of life. If you rock with me on the theory that Earth is a board game or a computer game, this is the board that we are all climbing up. Right here, Malkuth, which is like level 1, ruled by Lilith on the tree below. I don't know who rules it above. Maybe that makes me a problem because I knew who was below, whatever. But this is the start of the board. Over time, your soul evolves through different spheres, unless you're somebody who doesn't want to evolve and then you stay here at one, you stay on earth. But like this one is home, family. This is beauty. This is the concrete, logical mind. This is growth and expansion. That's Sagittarius energy. This is Mars, so drive, passion. This is Doth, right here in the middle. This is actually the abyss. This is the part where you are stripped of all of your ego in order for you to be reborn, because that is the area, the pit, right before the crown. That's right before you get to meet the Wizard of Oz or to talk to God again. But before you get there, there's this section, and that's really where we're focusing today, although I'm going to hop around. So this over here is where Jesus sits. And I'm going to pull this up because y'all need to know many things have been hidden from us or misconstrued or thrown around. So Christ Michael, y'all probably know him as Archangel Michael. Michael is another name for Jesus in pre-human angelic form. This is not written everywhere. In the Bible, they have it as two different dudes. If you're really interested in learning more about this, get the book, Christ Michael of Uranatia. And I thought it was going to show up here as like one of the pictures. But Christ and Michael is the same thing. Just like Merlin is another version of Christ. It's just like every time a soul evolves on this grid, right? You come back and get a new name. We call it death here. For spirits, it's evolution. So it started off as Michael, the living word, the logos, right? The embodiment of God, like the God's avatar. And then just kept being different things over time to find out what it is, the many-faced God, right? So you hear a lot of times, you don't get to the kingdom of heaven, you don't get to meet God, which is the return exit point here, right? Without getting through Christ. This is known as the pillar of mercy. This is easier. And there it even says mercy under the Jupiter one, right? This is the easier side to go down the tree of life. If you want to evolve based upon your ability to understand, that's like somebody saying, hey, the stove is hot, don't touch it. And you don't touch it your whole life because you found out through somebody else's word and you believed them that the stove was hot. So you took the merciful path. You used the knowledge of those that came before you to know what mistakes not to make, right? That's not the case with this side over here. As a matter of fact, this side is so demonized. I guess that's the way to put it. But I'm like, you didn't even know this whole entire lifetime that Jesus had a sister, right? That's where Sophia comes in. It's actually Sophia Christ. This would be Michael's wife, Jesus's wife. You can even see down here. Gnostics, which are the original religious people, held the story that she was the Syzygy. I can't ever say that right. Or the female twin of Jesus, the bride of Christ, the Holy Spirit of the Trinity. They removed the feminine. That's how demonized it was. So you got the Father, the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is actually the wife of Christ. It's like God is above them, uniting those two together, because when the masculine principle reunites with the feminine principle, it becomes the all once again, but it also gains the ability to create as God created through division. So we just keep going through this huge circle round and round. So Sophia Christ was removed over time, particularly by the Romans, because they didn't, I really feel deeply it had to do with that Eve thing, which I'm going to get into too. Like, where is it? If you would like to think of it as a character, because the Disney princesses all represent a different goddess in the astral or the historic realms of us as humans. So in the collective conscious, when we see Belle, we're like, oh, Sophia. So if you have a strong Sophia signature, you're a nerd, baby. You're a nerd. Most times you will be seen with what? A book. Your face in a book. You will be learning something. You are somebody who is, I don't want to say antisocial, because you have a love for people and you will help anybody in need. But there is a sort of joy that comes with you being by yourself, because you're not ever actually by yourself. You are with your father, right? Much like Belle was in the film. And that's all because the collective consciousness doesn't know how it remembers, but it finds a way to spit things back out. Thinking of a good way to say this. So if somebody whispers strawberry pie in your ear overnight, over and over again, you will wake up the next day completely unknowing that they have been whispering in your ear, and you'd be like, dang, I need to make a strawberry pie. And then you go about trying to make it based upon that. That is how the collective unconscious works. Somebody who has ears to hear gets a message from the subconscious or a story, and they try to make sense of it when they get down into this realm so that we can see it like spit back at us, if you will. So Sophia, in her format, is light, wisdom. It is the feminine flow. On this chart, it's the sphere of Saturn. This is called the pillar of severance. This is fuck around and find out. This is Alice, which is another collective thing representing Sophia, right? This is where you go through all the hard stuff so you can find out for yourself. You want your own wisdom. You don't want somebody else necessarily to tell you what to do. You want to find out on your own. So this sphere of Saturn, which is represented by the 10th house, the Jesus one is represented by the 11th house in your chart, and the 12th house being the exit is the crown. So the first house, I'm going to say, goes with Aries. Aries is the most immature sign and energy. It's the one that just got added. And each one of these, like where your sun is in your chart, represents where you started off in the game, like where your exit or your entry point was. So if you have a sun in 8th, you're in the pit. You started off this life getting stripped of everything that you were in the last life in order for you to make it across the line. Even this line here says door, because this is back home. This is where you want to get back into that Trinity energy, right? Above that Trinity energy is all that ever was. And I had some, here goes. So the parts that are not separated from God, the ability to create from pure scratch, that is the feminine energy that exists outside of this realm. And I'm guessing outside of that realm that we can't even see, there would be another masculine energy to balance that out, because one cannot exist without the other here, right? So in Hellenistic astrology, like one of the older ones, you used to have the knowledge or the ability to see the knowledge that each one of these houses is a home, the same way I was just explaining to you. See over here, we got good spirit, right? That's the 11th house. That was the one that I told you was ruled by Jesus. That's where the angels are. That's the angel house. You see it's friends, gifts, hopes. And I think in like Muggle astrology, you say that's the house of gains, your wishes and dreams, all the good things that can happen to you as a human. If you have your North Node in the 11th house, guess where you're going? That's back to heaven. That's back up there with the other angels, right? The 10th house is ruled by Saturn. It's reputation. It is legacy. It is debt. It is restraint. It is restriction. It is recalibration. It is reconstruction. It is the consequence area for the fuck around to find out. Okay? So I have been telling you guys for a long time. Like, I totally know. I just got out the underwear. Like, I don't know how I know this or anything, but it's just a feeling. So when I found this chart, I was like, hold on. My South Node and your South Node is showing where you just left from, where you're coming from, and where you directed yourself in this life. Mine came from the subterranean, right? That's where my South Node was. On this tree of life, it's Yasad, the 4th house, the family. But that's the dark mother also, right? Because Hecate would be the other side of Sophia. That's asteroid 100, right? So here, hold on. I got it. This is just another version and it looks sort of crappy. I hope y'all can see it over there of the Hellenistic, but it says the different houses. So I guess I should go over those since I pulled this up. So this is the beginning square 1. This is you came here for wealth, but it's because you already had wealth. Like if you have planets in the 2nd house, those are like your angelic gifts that you got for heaven that you use to help other people here that draw things to you, right? The 3rd house is the house of the goddess. That's the feminine energy. The underground, that's the underworld. The 5th house is good fortune. That's another angelic house. The 6th house is debt through servitude or being of service. Like you have to work to pay this off, right? Setting is on rest. Typically in these charts, this is your marriage house, right? This is when you settle into a partnership and y'all do things together and everything becomes way easier when you have a good partner. The 8th house says death, but in the other version of this, it is known as death, inheritance, lazy, idle. On another one, I seen it called, it was like punishment or something, but that's the house where you're not like in the game, which is the next thing I had to explain about karmic burdens, but I'm going to go through the rest of this. So idle, not even on the board. You were sentenced to a life of learning lessons because of what you did the last time, right? That's if your sun or something strong is there, possibly your north node. We'll get into that a little bit. So the ninth house is the house of the sun god. That is Jupiter. That is Sagittarius energy. This is growth through expansion. That's going back. It's the opposite of the moon goddess, because you're going to the sun god, you're going to the feminine, you are going back towards Christ energy once again. We're back to Saturn. Then we have Uranus. And then I am very intrigued by the fact that the 12th house comes up as evil daemon, right? It is the 5D, right? It is outside of this, but it is the crown at the same time. It's like all the energy for Pisces and dissolution is what I'm hearing is in the 12th house, but it's also where the ones who are on the tree below test you the most as you're trying to get your crown. Okay, so that makes sense. So when you are going for your crown, the attacks are the biggest. If you have anything in the 12th house, you will have felt like you was targeted your whole life. And that's also because this is the house of hidden enemies, which is why it's called evil daemon. It can be your crowning or your release or your exit, but it's also going to be the boss of boss levels. I love doing these little learn with me things because I learned so much doing them too. Like I'm opening myself in a different way than I would if I was just here doing research, because I want to be able to explain to you guys thoroughly. So I gotta like take baby steps. I usually tend towards being more Miss Frizzle, but I want to be taken seriously, which leads back to the Bina thing, right? So that's where our focus is going to be. The 10th house, Saturn's. This video is about karmic burdens. So maybe the person whose energy came through in the beginning, that's who this message is for, is wondering what the fuck. Okay, so you need to know, first and foremost, if you had karma from like, oh, it says inactive here, time out. So if you had stuff in the 8th house, you were automatically sentenced to a living coma. Depending on how much karma you had built up from other lives, and this is the bad karma, right? You might have had to live this life dormant. Some people have to be dormant to the end, which means that your soul is being recalibrated, reprogrammed through a lifetime as this particular character while you're dormant, while you're asleep, so that you become a better soul than you were before. Like who you actually were or your soul actually was so bad, they can't even risk you being awake, but they can't stop you from playing the game of life. If you don't have a sentence, like it works like jail sentences. If you don't have a sentence that was bad enough down there to keep you, and you still sort of a shady character, you might come up here with like an 8th house sign. Like you have to be asleep during this process because we do not trust you to not do what you did before. So you might have to go through a couple of rounds karmically asleep. Now, you can also pay back your karma. And typically, if you've done that around 33, you start waking up. That's when Christ consciousness kicks in. That means that you made it through everything that you had to go through karmically, and your heart was still open by the time that energy of mercy finally hits you. A lot of people who are walk-ins or people who went from feeling like one type of person, then turning into a completely different person after that, it's because you were dormant and you were in a sleeping version of yourself before. You were not actively making decisions. You were on Pinocchio mode. If you made it to 33 and things started changing for you, that means the blue fairy came along and tapped you and said, okay, you proved that you have a conscience and that you can be a good person despite the things that may have drove you crazy or made you evil in other lives. This now for the rest of this life, you get to live it awake. That is totally what happened to me. Like at 33, and I need to show y'all this. I'm really excited. So before y'all got to meet me, why are you being slow? This is not the screen it's supposed to be on. Y'all just got to walk through this with me. Those are my orders. Before y'all got to meet me, I was a wedding photographer. And it was like my greatest era in this life. So this is my old website. I've been going back and forth about if I want to maybe hop out there, whatever, as I am sinking back into my body. So when you get woke up, immediately, it's like the traits of your old self and your soul pour in first. So that takes some time, much like shadow and light work come together, to calibrate who you were as this human with who your soul has been for thousands of years. Now that I'm feeling, it's been like five years, I'm settled up in here. And I'm thinking maybe I want to do some things I did before. But what I wanted to show you guys was like this was done in camera, no Photoshop. And this was done in camera, no Photoshop. I